Adam Duritz of Counting Crows.
Adam, good to see you again, buddy.
Hey, no, I realized there's things going on in the head that I'm missing out on.
It was literally a voice just going, and now Adam Duritz, Counting Crows. I mean, if you really wanted to hear that.
Did it sound cool?
Yeah.
Was it a good intro?
7 out of 10.
All right.
Yeah, 7 out of 10.
All right. Okay, it's cool.
As
long as I get the idea now, I feel like I've hit the stage. There's been a.
Yeah.
I'm here.
Thank you. Do you guys have an intro now when you come out? Like, how do you guys come out?
We usually play this song. It lately it's been Stand by Sly and the Family Stone. Lights go down, Stand comes on. We come on about midway through the song.
So the song is playing like over the top, and you guys walk out.
It's out in the hall. It comes out.
When you do a set list, how often does it change during a tour?
Oh, every night.
Is that part of your, I don't know, creative nightly task is to recreate the set list?
Yeah, Immer, he was here a second ago. He and I do it after dinner sometime.
Does that depend on the mood that you're in?
Yeah. Just sort of, what do you want to play tonight? That way we're playing stuff we want to play.
Do you ever, do one of you ever go, hey, maybe we haven't played this song in a while, we throw this in? Is there ever like a battle?
No, it's usually like that. Somebody wants, anybody in the band can say, hey, I've been really dying to play this. And if we've been playing it, we just stick it in the set list. If we haven't been, we'll work it at sound check and then put it in the set list. Sometimes we need a few days to work on something if we haven't played it for a decade or something,
Oh, you'll bring old songs back sometimes.
Yeah, because people we have so many records at this point and so many songs, and people get to where they're dying to hear something, or someone's girlfriend is pretty insistent about something. My girlfriend really wanted us to play this song Butterfly in Reverse for a long time, and it was a song, even when it was released, we only played it once or twice. One of my friends checked on the archive. We'd only played it once or twice, and we worked on it and put it in the set, and now it's been like every night for a few years. Everybody loved it so much that it's kind of stuck in there. But yeah, there's things you haven't played in a long time.
Are there any songs that you feel you have to play every night? Is there one song that stays in the thread the whole time?
Along December does. Nothing else. I mean, I don't feel like there's anything I have to play every night. Because sometimes you just get tired of it. Anything there is, you get tired of it. Except for some reason, for me, Along December, I never get tired of it. There's never been a night where I didn't want to play it. I don't know why that is. I have no idea. But I'm always kind of excited to play it.
Like an arrangement change up on that song, like playing it by yourself at a piano or the full band. Does that ever change, even though the thread is you play that song every night?
Yeah, I mean, we'll change little details of it. There's little breakdowns that go into it. For the last year and a half, we went to see Taylor Swift, and it was really great. And I really loved that song, The One. And so I started backstage working on a version of it by myself. And then I just walked out on stage one night and played it and led it right into Along December. So the end of that song built and became the intro to Along December. And I've been doing it that way for about a year now. And I'm really loving it. I don't know. It's such a great song, and it was a real cool surprise to then crash it into Along December and start that song from there. So I've been doing it that way. But I've done that with different songs. I remember doing it with Live Forever, that Oasis song. We were touring in England once, and I went, and figured out how to play Love Forever, and then just surprised everybody on stage with it one night.
With cell phones, too, it's got to be different, because if you're going to go do Taylor the One, that's either going to go super viral or it's not. It's going to be kind of weird.
Well, it was kind of cool because at some point midway through the first verse, I always hear this scream from a bunch of girls. It happens because it's not immediately recognizable as that song, because I'm playing it pretty differently. It's kind of inside out. But at some point, 2/3 of the way through the third verse or the first verse, there's just a scream from a bunch of girls who realize what's going on, and then I don't know whether they're hitting their mom, going, "No, you don't understand, Mom."
How has content creation been for you with music? Because that's different for anybody that was playing in the 90s and 2000s. I have friends now that are struggling with, man, I have to make content now to go with my music. How's that been for you and you guys?
Well, it's kind of I was really enthusiastic about social media when it first started. I was on the message boards at AOL, in 96, when I realized, here's a way to talk directly to fans. I don't have to go through the press or something. And then when Twitter came out, I really jumped on that. But the problem is you're not always at the forefront of something. you're patting yourself on the back for being on the message boards, 10 years before social media, and then you're patting yourself on the back for building up Twitter, and you don't realize that Instagram is the next thing, or you finally get a hold of that, and as you're older, you're not in touch with the same stuff that kids are, and so you don't realize that TikTok is really important. That it's just inevitable that you fall behind because you're not keyed into the same zeitgeist as kids are. But yeah, you just kind of adjust. You try to. I mean, I think at this point in my life, I'm always a little behind, which is okay. It's it's kind of fun to catch up sometimes.
Some of my friends are like, man, I hate singing into a phone. Like they really have struggled with like singing in their songs into a phone to put it on TikTok. Was that ever, when you shot content, do you shoot it wider? Because you can shoot it video-ish style where it doesn't feel as ridiculous, because it does feel kind of weird to put your phone up and sing right into it. How are you guys doing that?
Well, early on, I mean, I don't mind singing into my phone because I was doing it for voice memos. It was like, wow, I got a thing I can record. I work on new songs. I can record them right. That seemed like the coolest thing in the world to me. I didn't need a recording studio. I had my phone. And then I started doing it was a little while to learn how to do all the stuff and learn to edit. I had to go learn how to edit stuff, get the editing apps. And I was making cooking videos because I was bored during the pandemic. So I was teaching kind of cooking lessons on my Instagram. And then, I watch a lot of it. And I see people doing these clips of songs and how you don't really have to do a whole song, but clips of songs are really cool. And I kind of like watching them. So, I wised up to doing that, but it took me till this record to wise up to doing that. It's not hard to do them, though. Sometimes doing my phone. Sometimes we have a videographer who works with us. He'll come over and just film me doing stuff, or he filmed when we were making the record. He was there with cameras. So, lately we've been using clips of all of us from in the studio that we filmed, and then I had him come over and shoot a bunch of clips of me just doing the vocals because they were a little bit, it wasn't as immediate, the clips from the side away from the mic in the studio. So I wanted to cut a bunch of clips of just my face doing stuff. I called him up and said, I want to make videos out of these, but I don't want to just use the studio footage. I want to shoot stuff in front of a screen. And so we did that, and we've been putting those up for Spaceman and now for Under the Aurora.
You mentioned voice notes. So what were you using before voice notes? Was it just a pad of paper was it notebook all the time?
Well, I mean, I always use these notebooks, but I also there was an app. It was just called Recorder, but it was just an app that had really good compression on it that you just push record, so I could use it on my computer back then. And it was a better app than any I've found since then. It just sort of did it all for you. It had a great compression, a great EQ on it, and it was boneheaded. You just pushed record and play, and it did great recordings. I did a whole record with that app at one point, just called All My Bloody Valentines. It was like the week before Valentine's Day, 10 years ago, or whenever it was, and I just said, I'm going to record a song. I'm going to learn a cover a day and record a song a day for the next week leading up to Valentine's Day. And I just did 7 songs and ended up putting it out and giving it away to all our fans.
Do you have any of your original handwritten lyrics to any of the old songs?
Oh, yeah. I've got all these lyric books. Yeah.
That just live somewhere in your house?
Yeah, there's like piles of them. I've always written in these books, so I have these little ones that they're like spiral binders that are about that big. They're like for school, notebooks. I used them when I was in college too. I don't do it as much anymore. I find the notes function in my phone is really great because I just lay around. Also, we've all stopped writing.
Yeah.
So writing's not as like natural as it was. So with my phone, I can walk around when I'm working on a song. I can just walk around humming stuff to myself, and I just type it into the notes. I have a lot of lyrics in my notes, but I still use the notebook for stuff too.
We were talking a little bit ago about how Gen Z has never written a handwritten letter. And my answer to that was, well, our parents never churned butter, and I'm sure their generation ahead of them was like, I can't believe the kids now don't churn butter. So there are certain skills that you don't have to have, as time goes by. I just feel, though, if I use like GPS, I know how to get nowhere because I GPS everywhere. And if I write everything down into my phone, like I write a bunch of joke ideas into my phone constantly, but I don't remember stuff as well if I'm putting it in digitally. Does your mind remember the same digitally as handwritten?
No, I mean, I realized last night I can't remember I was out to dinner last night, and my girlfriend was giving her phone number to somebody, like one of our friends, and I suddenly realized, oh, that's not cool. You don't know her number. I mean, I knew
I don't know my wife.
I know like 7 or 8 numbers. When she was saying it, I was in my head going, oh, and then the last 2 numbers I had wrong. I'm like, wow, you don't know your girlfriend's phone number.
I would be in trouble if I were being held hostage. I know nobody's phone number unless it was from, like, I know my friend Evan's dad's number from when I was like 12. Like, I can remember that one, but I don't know anybody's phone number now.
Now, being held hostage comes with a lot of other problems anyways.
But first, I need to call somebody.
You get one call.
They're like, we demand ransom. And I'm like, I don't know how to get a hold of anybody.
I mean, that's kind of the cops give you one call. I don't know about hostages. Sometimes they do, but what if they just don't like you?
Then they will not want a ransom, and you're not hostage.
Yeah,
you're just
so
dead.
well,
then you're just dead.
Yeah, there's a lot of problems with the hostage situation, above and beyond the phones, but I get your point.
Did you watch White Lotus last night by any chance?
I did.
You did?
No.
Okay.
No, I'm not done yet.
Okay, then.
I was a little disappointed.
Well, we're not giving any answers.
Not saying anything about it.
But a lot of people, so I watched the whole thing, right? My wife had already watched all of it, and I just wanted to watch the finale with her. So I did like 7 episodes this past weekend just to totally catch up. And I was told by a lot of people season 3 was pretty slow. I felt season 3, the people in it, and again, no spoilers, not to be as gross as seasons 1 and 2, just generally.
You know, it's a weird thing. Season 1 had like 6 episodes, and season 2 had 7, and season 3 had 8. And I thought 6 would have been great for all of them. They'd just be. He's a really, really, really good writer, and somehow expanding it just kind of. I don't want to rip it. It's such a good show. I had never watched it, and then this year,
my
girlfriend talked me into watching it, and we watched the first season, like binged it. Second season, binged it. Third season, got through 2 episodes, and I was like, "What?" And she said, "Oh no, that's where we're up to right now." Why are we watching it? You know, I like to binge everything. You know, and so then I've been doing it every week, and I'm not sure whether it's distorting how it feels to me because I have to wait for it. It felt really padded.
I did all binge all 3 seasons, and I finally finished right before the finale. So my feeling was, season 3, people didn't feel as gross. Felt pretty good about it.
That's cool.
But I never felt the need to get back to it, but I did enjoy it while it was on. It was one of those weird slow burn shows for me.
I loved the other seasons. I kind of felt like also, I felt there was a lot of padding this season, but I was also thinking, well, I bet the ending will be great. You know that because we're gonna get there finally.
Yeah. Well, don't worry, everybody. We're not gonna say anything about it. We're not gonna say it. No spoiling there. What else do you guys watch? Did you watch Severance?
Watch the first season, and I thought that was incredible.
One of my favorite seasons ever of any show.
Yeah. I think we're gonna watch the second season after this. We just watched. Is it Black Doves? That Keira Knightley
awesome.
show. That was great.
It's freaking awesome. I'd be a black dove. I'd be good at that.
Yeah, you would.
Yeah, I'd be.
As long as you're not held hostage.
Yeah. Well, I just need to know a phone number if I'm held hostage.
Yeah.
How does writing songs now compare to writing songs 20 years ago? You know, we talked about the difference in digitally or writing it with a hand, but like, do you feel the need and do you schedule writing now, or can you only just go when you feel like it?
I just write when I feel. I don't write a lot. As soon as I started touring and really being in this band, I stopped writing all the time. I wrote every day for 10 years before that when I started writing songs. But then I can't really write on tour because I don't play guitar. I play piano and poorly at that. And then so I wouldn't write for like a year and a half because we'd be on tour. So ever since then, I've tended to just kind of not write for a year or 2 and then write 10 songs, whatever the record is. And sometimes there's an extra song or 2, but not many. I don't write a lot of extras, so it was different this time because I wrote I just think I've been sort of changing some of the ways I write, and sort of the music I was writing was a little more ambitious than my ability to play it. And so I couldn't really tell how the songs were. I sat on them for a couple of years because I hadn't had a lot of confidence in them. And then I called the guys up and said, I wrote With Love from A to Z from the first song on the record, and I loved it. And I thought I got to figure out what I'm doing with the rest of the songs. And I called, Immer and a couple of our other guys, our bass player and drummer, and said, I need everybody to come to my house for a week. I just need to play this stuff with you. I need to hear how it is with the band, and then I'll know. And as soon as we started playing it, I was like, oh wow, I love this stuff. But this is the first time a lot of it was in my head. Like I couldn't really play it, but I knew it. I knew how it was supposed to go, had the chords. My ability to play piano, I couldn't do these songs. And so I was carrying it around in my head until I heard them play it. I could describe what I wanted, and it was great. and I was really excited. But that hadn't really happened before.
With Love from A to Z, whenever the first half came out and it was all one track, loved that, thought it was super cool, and then it split up into songs later. But that song's not even up yet, as far that I've seen.
Oh no, it'll be up. Maybe that comes up in a few weeks.
No, that's good. I'm just making sure I'm not crazy.
No, you're not crazy.
Well, I
They're
am.
crazy
but
for not just sending you the record.
No,
they should have just sent you the record.
That I would agree with.
Yeah, that's their crazy thing. Yeah.
I will shout out the name Bobby. 2 references on this record.
Yeah, I know. It was very inspired by the last time we were hanging out.
Thank you very much. Well, Bobby and the Rat Kings, I think, was already existent when we hung out last time, but this one.
But I knew we were going to hang out.
Yeah.
I knew it was going to happen.
Spaceman at Tulsa, I get a shout out as well.
You're back.
Yes, I'm back, baby.
Yeah.
So when you do new records, how many of these songs do you put in a set list at night? You have so many songs to kind of jump between.
I don't know. I mean, the suite, I really only like playing the suite all together. The guys have tried to get me to like just play single songs, but I really like it all as one. So that's a chunk if you're going to play that. I mean, that's 20 minutes of the show right there. I don't know. I guess it kind of depends on the night. We'll start doing it and you stick them in. I don't know. It's weird. Like you want to play your whole new record, but sometimes there was a time we could do that when everyone was buying all the records and everybody knew all the songs. So maybe if Spaceman in Tulsa blows up through the roof, or Under the Aurora does, or one of them does, we can just play the whole record for people.
What's the song that you hear out randomly the most?
Of ours?
Yeah.
I suppose it's probably Mr. Jones. I hear Long December a lot, especially it's become kind of a Christmas standard. Like every holiday season, it seems like everybody's covering it, and it shows up like on TikTok and on Instagram, people playing it. This year, MJ Lenderman was doing a version right around Christmas, and Gracie Abrams sang it at the
I saw that.
Benefit for the Fires.
It was awesome. What did you think about that?
That was cool.
Yeah.
I mean, I always think it's cool. I don't know. I think our songs are kind of weird sometimes. My phrasing's a little difficult. I don't hear a lot of people covering us, except in bars sometimes. Where you don't necessarily want to hear it as much. But
have you been in a bar and heard someone covering you?
Yeah. Yeah.
And what
sometimes it's really good. I heard a version of Round Here a while ago that was like, wow, that was really good, actually. I was impressed.
Do you tell them it's you?
Oh, no.
No.
Well, it used to be obvious it was me before I shaved off the dreads. Like, there was no question it was me then. I think I'm a little more anonymous now. I think I'm a lot more anonymous now.
Was that a big decision to cut off the dreads?
Not really. It wasn't a big decision to me. I just felt like I was excited. It wasn't really that. I just kind of did it on a whim, but I think it was a big decision for a lot of other people somehow. I know I get asked about it a lot.
One of my neighbors lives a few houses down as T-Bone Burnett.
Oh, really?
Yeah, and he was over a few weeks ago. We were talking about August and Everything After and the Wallflowers. What was working with him like as a producer? That's a long time ago.
I mean, it's cool. He's really good. He's got, there's a lot of producers that just have like a sound. Like they've got a studio trick that they do, and that's what their records sound like. T-Bone's not really quantifiable like that. He helps you figure out who you are and who you want to be on a record. I think that's why he's worked with a lot of bands on their first records and made a lot of really good first records with bands. Because I think he really helps you define yourself. He's got a thing that, an understanding of music that not everybody has. He's really, really good at that.
He brought the coolest friend over, which is Ringo Starr. They came over together. That's pretty legit. That's a strong friend.
Guest.
Yeah, that's
right there.
that's a strong friend. Who was responsible for putting you as background vocals of 6th Avenue Heartache?
Well, the Wallflowers had made their first album on Virgin, and it's a really good record, but it didn't really make much of an impression. It didn't really sum up who they were. And Jake and I were friends. I was bartending at the Viper Room, and he was there a lot, and we would talk about, what we were doing. And he asked me at one point, I think, if I had any advice about that, and I said, well, T-Bone is really good at what I just told you. Is like helping you define yourself. And I felt like that's kind of what that record needed. That he's a real unique guy and a unique songwriter and singer. And that didn't get brought out as much on that first record. And so I suggested T-Bone. And, a few months later, I was at home. I lived in Laurel Canyon then. And I got a phone call from either T-Bone or Andy Slater, who was Jake's manager. And they're like, we're working on this song, and it's just not singing yet. Do you want to come down and sing it? And I was like, which song? He said 6th Avenue Heartache. I said, I don't really know that one. Because I knew a lot of Jake's songs that he was working on. And he said, well, will you just come down the hill and so I went down and had a beer and listened to it, and then had a beer and sang it a couple times and left. I mean, it just felt great. I mean, it was like that. That just felt like we figured out exactly that was just what that song needed. It was a great song. It just needed something to pick up the chorus, and it just felt great right away. I think I only sang it once or twice, and then I went back home, and it turned out great.
How long until you actually hear it?
I think they sent me a copy like the next day.
Got it.
But I heard it right then, and we went into the control room after I sang it. It sounded great. I mean, that's like, he's got Mike Campbell from the Heartbreakers playing the guitars on that song. It's a really good band. I think Ben Montench is on that one too from the Heartbreakers. I don't know about that. But yeah, it just felt great. I knew it was great right away. It just felt really like, sometimes you just figure out the right thing to sing. It makes it work.
SNL just did their 50 years. You guys' performance on SNL, one of them, I'm not sure how many you did, just popped up on my TikTok the other day. This guy named Huggy posts all the music performances on TikTok. What do you remember from SNL?
It was a rough week. We had a really hard time. We had said no for a long time when they asked us, because we were just sort of like, we wanted to play around here at Mr. Jones. We wanted to play around here first. We didn't want to edit the songs. We had both Letterman and SNL were asking us to be on, and we just were really determined to do it the right way. It was going to be our first appearance ever on television.
They wanted you to edit it for time?
Yeah. They wanted both of them edited. They wanted Mr. Jones first. I really wanted to play around here first. I didn't want to edit the songs. And so we kind of negotiated with both shows for the longest time until SNL agreed, okay, yeah, you can play them the way you want to, and you can play around here first. And then we got there that week, and they were like, oh, by the way, we changed our mind. And I was like, no. And they said, yeah, no, we're going to have to do it this way. And I said, no, we're doing it this way. It's okay, we'll leave, but we're not doing that. And it was just a difficult week fighting with them all week. And then it was great. We played great. It made our career. I'll say that. It made our career because we weren't even in the top 200, and that record jumped 40 spots a week for 5 weeks after we played Saturday Night Live, and until we were at number 2 for the next 2 years. I mean, it made our career.
What'd you play first?
Round Here. Yeah. And it was great. It was perfect because, like, Mr. Jones is a great song. It really is. But there's a lot of songs like Mr. Jones that are just catchy, kind of rock tunes. But Round Here is unique, and I think it just, like, this is who we are. It's not what you've been hearing before. And it completely made our career. We were not even in the top 200 before we played SNL. And, a month later we were at number 10 and then number 2 or something like that. And, but it was a difficult week. They've never had us back.
So it was just one time?
Yeah, they're never going to have us back. I don't think so. I went there once. My friend, it was Ian McKellen's agent, and when, like, all the Lord of the Rings movies were coming out, he hosted. And there was this one producer who kept getting sent to do all the talking to us, and I was in the green room because they wanted me to come. I had never been back since then. So this is like 8 years later. And I saw this guy walk by in the hallway, and then he came back, and he's like, whoa, I never thought I'd see you again. What's going on? And I was like, nothing, just my friend represents Ian. And he's like, oh, cool. Well, no hard feelings? I was like, no, it's fine, man. He's like, all right, do you want to get high? I was like, no, it's cool. I'm all right. Okay, cool. See you later. It was weird. I was like, the look on his face, he's like, wow, I never thought I'd see you again.
That's funny.
Yeah. And they have not had us back.
The record, so it's the completion of the 2021, right? So that's what it seems like to me. Yeah. So it's the rest of that. This is all one album. So why was this a whole body of work that you had been working on and recording, and now you're done with it, or did you just keep going after 2021 and keep building on that?
No, I just wrote the suite. It was really like a standalone thing. And then we were interrupted by the pandemic anyways. And then when the pandemic was over, I went back to my friend's. He's got a farm in the west of England, which is where I wrote the whole suite. And I wrote a lot of this stuff. And on the way home, I stopped in London to sing on my friend's record. They've got this band, Gang of Youths, Australian band. They live in London now. And when I got home from that, a little while later, they sent me the record, and it was so good. It's called Angel in Real Time. And I just had this thought, like, wow, these songs aren't as good as their songs. I thought this stuff was really great, but I'm seeing it in perspective compared to their stuff. it needs some work. And I actually went back to the drawing board and I rewrote the chorus for Under the Aurora. Like I rewrote a bunch of the stuff, and I thought it was really good at that point, but that's kind of why I didn't have a lot of confidence in it. And I sort of sat on it for 2 years before I wrote With Love from A to Z and then called the guys like I told you. But it was an experience I've never had before. I've never kind of like finished things and thought, oh wait, they're not good enough. But that's kind of why it took a little longer. But originally I was just writing the suite, but then I wanted to write the stuff to go along with it.
You mentioned you went to Taylor Swift's tour. What did you see there that was inspiring?
It was just really well thought out. I mean, I write songs and sing, and there's a lot that goes into a concert that has to do with like set design. We don't do a ton of that. But if you want to do visuals and videos and stuff, there's a lot of thought that has to go into what's the right visual to put behind your song. And I know how complex that thought process can be. And we don't do a lot of video. We're generally set moods with lights, but the thought that had gone into the visual presentations at that tour, like how it was really moving. It was really, really good. And this combination of the sets, the incredible video presentation, the movement on stage, the whole thing, there's just a lot of complex creative thought that goes into making a show like that. It's practically like making an entire movie, and also it's 3+ hours long. That's a lot, that I was really impressed with the amount of creative people from different disciplines that had come together and made that really impressive show. That wasn't just like laserium, like lasers, like, you see it. It was like moving. Each song was really thought out. All the things that went into each song were really thought out, and they really worked. I was just very impressed by it. It's not the kind of show we put on, but I thought it was brilliant.
One of the old man things that I say kids miss out on now are the secret tracks. And there's a couple different secret tracks that I think of with you guys. And one was maybe it was Hard Candy. You hold down the fast forward, and you guys did the Joni Mitchell song before Vanessa Carlton came on. Was that Hard Candy? At the end of Hard Candy? Okay.
Yeah, we had to rush out the initial pressings of that record, so we didn't have Vanessa's parts on there yet, I think.
But you had to like hold down the fast forward, but just barely to get to it, or let you fall asleep with it on, and then all of a sudden a song startles you. But even before that, when it was the on
Desert Life,
yeah, and at the end of that, that art is no longer, because now if there's a track that's 17 minutes long, you just see that and you're like, well. Why would you guys pick those songs to do hidden? And who was the one that suggested do a hidden track?
Well, sometimes it's just something I really like that doesn't work in the flow of the record. Like it just didn't feel like part of the record. Like Kid Things on
Desert Life.
On Desert Life just didn't feel like part of the record, but I really loved it. And thematically, it was part of the record, but it was done really lo-fi, and it didn't fit in the. I tried to fit it in the flow, and I couldn't sequence it. I mean, I know nobody listens to records anymore, but I really like to make records. And I want you to be able to sit down and listen to it all the way through, even if nobody's going to do it. That's what I really like. I like making that work. And sometimes I just couldn't get a song to fit, which meant I left a couple songs I love off records. And I hit a couple just because that seemed kind of fun. It was like a nice Easter egg for fans. That was the thing with the Kid Things. It just didn't. It fit thematically, but it didn't flow in the record. But Big Yellow Taxi was different because we had just spent this one weekend doing all these covers for B-sides. While we were mixing the record, we were like in another little room just cutting cover songs, and that just turned. We had this kind of acoustic hip hop version of Big Yellow Taxi that we play in concert, but we wanted to try doing a remix with it. We like went out to Pharrell back then. It was just starting in the Neptunes then. We went back to him, Jimmy Jam, and Terry Lewis from the time, but we weren't able to sort of get any of it done in time. And Ron Fair came and said, "Hey, I know you've been doing this with all these other guys, but I actually did a version, and I think it works really well." And he sent it to me, and I was like, "Oh, that does work. That's really cool. Thanks." And then he wanted to have someone sing on it, and right before we were mixing Hard Candy, he was in there mixing a record with Vanessa Carlton, her first record, And I had heard a bunch of it because he was in there, and Jack Joseph Puig had played me some of her songs. I thought they were really good. And I knew that I had to leave for tour before we were going to be able to finish it. And I thought it might be intimidating for someone to come in and sing on one of our tracks, but he could get a lot out of a woman he had just worked with, where she would be comfortable enough with him to actually like improv on our track. And she did. Yeah, it worked out great. It's funny because she was this total unknown singer, and then by the time it came out, she was very popular.
The Complete Suite comes out May 9th. Man, you guys are doing a lot of shows, too. Do you do the touring where you just go away and don't come back for a couple months?
Yeah, mostly. Yeah, weekend, this sort of a Nashville thing. I know.
Yeah,
this weekend.
It's Friday, Saturday, maybe Thursday, maybe Sunday, but back home.
Yeah, that sounds very convenient.
Yeah, it is. Yeah. So you guys just go, because you guys are going like Europe, too, the whole thing.
We're doing the whole summer is gone. We're out on tour in America. We pass through home, wherever your home is. You usually pass through it. And then we'll go to Europe in the fall.
That's pretty cool. A lot of dates from June, and we'll put them up in the notes here on the podcast. But from June, all the way up until
November
the end
1st,
of until it gets cold.
Yeah.
You do cold weather shows, or are most of your shows amphitheaters?
Well, not during the summer, but other times of year. Like
Do you ever play You ever play a long December in December, and the crowd goes, ah, like just because you yelled December, it's like yelling a city when you're in it.
Yeah.
Like, he said our month. He said our month. This is crazy.
I should write one for each month, because then I would have hits any time of the year.
Yeah, that would be good. We're gonna play some music here in just a second. Oh, by the way, I should tell you, not that it matters. I looked.
It matters, man.
It doesn't matter, but this was the first book I ever wrote, and it was a bestseller for a little bit. It was pretty cool. I'm pretty proud of it. But I thanked you guys in the back of the book.
Really?
I did.
Can I have a copy?
Well, you don't want. No. It's not. Sure, you can have a copy, but it wasn't for that. It was laying here by my foot, and I was like, because you guys are my favorite band of all time, and so I said, I wonder if I thanked them in the credits, like of the book, and I did. You're on the back page when it was like, hey, I want to thank Counting Crows.
I know you came to that show in Nashville a few years ago, and they told me you were there, but then you didn't come backstage.
Yeah, because I don't want to be that guy. Like I just want to, and honestly, and I think you'll understand this, I didn't want to not like you, because I love my relationship with your music, and I didn't want to not like you, and so I was like, you know what, I'm good, because the place I'm in now with Counting Crows, it couldn't be better.
I hear you. If you come backstage at some point, I promise not to be a dick.
Well, now I like you, though, because now I feel good about it. But
Okay.
that was really the reason. They were like, do you want to go meet Adam? And I was like, no, I just enjoyed the show. I was like, I do not, because right now I love Adam.
And he might be a dick.
Well, and not even that, but like I tour doing stand-up, and some days you just don't feel good. Some days.
That's true.
And so I just didn't want it to be there. So next time, I probably still won't, but right now I'm going to say I will.
Well, can I have a book, or else
you're
being a dick right now?
No, I'll give you a book.
Yeah, I want a book.
I'll give you a book.
It's really cool that we're thanked in the back of the book. I want one.
Book.
How did you thank him? Like,
I just thanked him for the music, for like all the,
read it.
Okay. What if it's like,
Right.
Adam, I'm in love with you.
Gushy.
I want to have your babies.
Also, a big sad hug to the Counting Crows for making lots of great music that makes me sad by feeling happy by feeling sad.
That's pretty great, actually. Yeah, it's nice.
Yeah, because that's how I felt when I. So
Your
in fact, I got a little choked
gave
up. That was
Yeah.
actually pretty good.
yeah, well, thank you.
Well, and I'll clarify some importance behind that. Some of Bobby's upbringing, he didn't have a lot of space to feel. So I think your music gave him that space to feel.
Sad hug all around. I'm not making fun of you. That's actually really sweet. I'm kind of touched by that.
But any hug at all was happy for me.
Okay, now we're going too far.
That's right. That's right. Okay, we're gonna play some music here. Counting Crows.
It's about